Mark Andrews or Travis Kelce? Big question this year at tight end. Who does Jacob Gibbs like? We'll find out right now on Fantasy Football Today in 5. Well, Jacob, I know I am firmly in Kelce camp, okay? I'm not even thinking twice about it. This is an easy call for me. What do you think? Let's talk about these two guys. One is not going to have Tyreek Hill. One's not going to have Marquise Brown. So let's explore that first, starting with Kelce without Tyreek Hill.
All right, I'm definitely excited to hear your strong stance here. I could go either way. I definitely understand the arguments for both. For me, I do lean slightly towards Mark Andrews, and it does have a lot to do with the splits that we have with Andrews playing without his top receiver and Kelce playing without his top receiver. So we'll start with Andrews. His efficiency has spiked in routes run without Marquise Brown on the field. It's been like that every year in the routes that he's run without Brown on the field, and it's a pretty small sample size. Brown has been relatively healthy the whole time, but when Marquise Brown has been off, Mark Andrews has been much better. And it was the same thing last year, and over the past 3 seasons, we've seen Andrews be 25% more likely to draw a target when Brown is off the field, and we've seen his yard per route run rate increase by 22%. Flip it over to Kelce, and the same cannot be said. When Tyreek Hill has been off the field, it has clearly hurt Travis Kelce's efficiency. Last year, he was slightly more likely to draw a target when Hill was off the field. Over the past 3 seasons, it's been a wash. He's been at 24% target per route run rate with Hill on or off. But there's a clear drop-off in his efficiency when Hill comes off the field. So last year, over the past 3 seasons, his yard per route run rate is down by 18% when Tyreek comes off the field compared to a 22% increase for Mark Andrews. So with Tyreek Hill off the field over the past 3 seasons, Travis Kelce has been targeted on 24% of his routes. Mark Andrews with Marquise Brown off the field, 31%. Yards per route run, Kelce 1.9, Mark Andrews 2.7. Obviously, Kelce could run more routes, but that's a pretty drastic difference in their per route run rates with their top receivers off the field. And so I'm really curious what you think about that.
Well, I didn't know all of that. Well, I think just looking at the games that Tyreek Hill has missed, and there are very few of those. It was three seasons ago. Travis Kelce did very well in those games. You know, he was over 80 yards, and I think 4 of those 5 games. I think the lowest total he had was about 72 yards. So I don't know about per target, per route, all that stuff. But just looking at this is what he did when Tyreek Hill did not play. And that was the 2019 season, I believe. Travis Kelce was very good there. Mm-hmm. I am sure, that you lose a guy like Tyreek Hill, you lose a guy like Marquise Brown. I think it's going to lead to more target volume for both of those guys. And the thing is, I just feel like there's going to be so much more target volume for Travis Kelce because I do believe that the Ravens drafting a center, I believe they drafted 2 tight ends. They drafted a center in the first round. They're getting their running backs back and healthy. They traded Marquise Brown. All signs to me point to they want to get back to running the football a lot. And I just don't think Mark Andrews will have anywhere near the target volume that Travis Kelce will have.
I think that's fair. Yeah. So I have the Ravens projected for a 10% decrease in pass attempts, which is pretty drastic from year to year. And even with that, they still project almost identically, Kelce and Andrews, not in terms of targets, but just in terms of fantasy points. And so anything less than a 10% increase leaves a lot of upside for Mark Andrews, in my opinion. And then I do think it's interesting just talking about the moves the 2 teams have made. Kansas City has really done a lot to try to address the hole left by Tyreek Hill, bringing in Juju Smith-Schuster. Marquez Valdes-Scantling has really actually had pretty encouraging data the last couple of years. Sky Moore, somebody we're all pretty excited for. The Ravens really haven't replaced Marquise Brown. We're expecting Rashad Bateman to take a step forward, but I think their moves indicate that they are confident that Mark Andrews can be like the guy, not just a 1A, 1B type of thing.
I know you're going to say, and this is important, that Kelce, he's getting up there in age, right? And last year was not his, he's 30, he'll be 33 in October. Last year was not a great year for him, in terms of rates. I would just point out that it wasn't nearly as good for Patrick Mahomes either. And if you follow the ebbs and flows of last season, when Mahomes struggled a little bit, Kelce struggled a little bit. But as Mahomes, toward the end of the year, really bounced back, Kelce did as well. So that would be my pushback on that argument that I know you're going to make. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. But yeah, that would be what I would say is the games you referenced earlier with Tyreek Hill was in 2019. And that was, 2 years ago, 3 years ago by the time we get to this season. And the rates we saw for Kelce last year were pretty discouraging. I don't know if I'm ready to, count him out yet. He's Travis Kelce. He's insanely good at football. He could definitely bounce back this year, but he is going to be 33. And Mark Andrews, we don't have any of those concerns. He has continued to elevate his game and is going to be a fifth-year player. Like, he still could make improvements, which is crazy because what we've seen from him has been better than Travis Kelce just over the past 3 years on a per route basis. Over the past 3 years, Travis Kelce has been targeted on 24% of his routes and averaged 2.2 yards per route run. Mark Andrews, 27% of his routes, 2.3 yards per route run. And we're finally seeing him at a similar type of route involvement as Travis Kelce. And we talk about the overall pass volume might be lower, but in 2021, Andrews ran a route on 84% of Baltimore's dropbacks. Travis Kelce ran around on 81% of Kansas City's dropbacks. And so we're finally seeing him in this true, alpha, tight end role here, like we've seen from Travis Kelce, Darren Waller, those type of guys. And his per route rates have always been better. His per route rates have been better than anyone not named George Kittle, the tight end position, since he's came into the league. So everything that I see points towards Andrews being the best projectable tight end in the NFL when it comes to fantasy.
Yeah, last thought here, just interesting how people want to talk about postseason games. Because if you look at Travis Kelce's regular season, he had 34 or fewer yards in 4 of his last 5 games, which sounds like a typo, but it isn't. 34 or fewer yards in 4 of his last 5 games. It's hard to believe. And then he played 3 playoff games, and Travis Kelce averaged 100 yards per game. He had 13 yards per catch. He caught 85% of his targets. He averaged 11.07 yards per target. So if you throw those games in, maybe people are more optimistic about what Kelce showed last year. If you ignore the playoffs, then you see 4 of his last 5 games under 34 yards. So you at home will have to decide because we are out of time. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll talk to you on tomorrow with a Michael Thomas profile on fantasy football.